Hi, my name is Vig, and this is another episode of Quick Draw, where today I'd like to talk with you about the power of love in film. Because I don't know much about it in real life. What are you doing after this? You want to go out sometime? So I just recently rewatched Richard Linklater's The Before trilogy, and I found it very interesting. Let's talk about it. Now, I'm going to level with you. I get really passionate when talking about this series. To me, it's one of the great achievements in all of cinema. So emotionally potent that we'd probably hang it in the damn Louvre if it was a painting. It's not. It's a movie, so we can't. But if it was, we'd probably boot out some still life crap and, well, you get the idea. I really, really like it. Makes me cry like a Detroit Lions fan, which makes their decision to not make another one give me absolutely nothing to look forward to in life. Also like a Detroit Lions fan. Anyway, one of the most interesting things to me about the trilogy is how each film builds off of each other, both story-wise as we watch the relationship between these two characters radically change, but also visually, where consciously or not, Linklater does some pretty interesting things to emphasize the damn near mythical quality of the two protagonists' dynamic. What in God's name do I mean by any of that? Well, I think the best way to illustrate what I'm talking about is to visually compare the first two films in the series. And by that I simply mean, in both films, what do we as the audience see on screen, and what does Linklater as the director call our attention towards? In Before Sunrise, the first film of the trilogy, the two lovers of Jesse and Celine spend an all-nighter in Vienna, where quite spontaneously Jesse invites Celine to explore the city with him while he waits for his flight back to America the next morning. We spend intimate moments with these two characters as it becomes apparent that this random first date experiment is going really well, and may become something more than just a one-off fling. But also of some minor importance to us and the story is the actual city of Vienna. Through the eyes of Jesse and Celine and camera work of Linklater, we get a pretty healthy slice of the Viennese experience. Two things specifically stand out: the surroundings/landmarks of the city, and the people who actually inhabit it. We see graveyards, Ferris wheels, churches, bars. We meet bartenders, play actors, fortune tellers, and poets. While the focus of the film is undoubtedly on Jesse and Celine, with all these shots of other places and people, we also get a little bit of a reprieve from their date to experience the wonderful city that exists outside of them. Because of this, Sunrise is not just a beautiful film about the two protagonists, but also about a day in the life in the city of Vienna. Enter the sequel, Before Sunset, which picks up 9 years after the events of Sunrise. The two lovers have long since separated, and their plans to meet each other again have fallen through, leaving them to take different paths in their lives. Jesse, now a successful author, arrives in Paris to promote his latest book to a room full of critics and admirers. His audience listens with great interest, but also intrigue as they prod him about his inspiration for his novel, which increasingly sounds to us like a familiar retelling of the events of the first film in Vienna. And as he reminisces about these memories, a familiar face enters the store, and Sunset's story takes flight.
Folding in on itself, and it's obvious to him that time is a lie.
The experience of watching Sunset is an incredibly intense, intimate, and emotionally resonant one, much more so than the other two films, even though it follows a very similar pattern of two people walking through a European city, spending the day with mostly each other's company. So why is Sunset that much more compelling? Well, there are many reasons why, some of which are story-related, which I won't get into here, but visually speaking, one of the things that strikes me goes back to that whole people and places observation. In Sunrise, we get a healthy portion of distractions from Jesse and Celine in the form of the city of Vienna, and Linklater's camera work emphasizes this with cutaways to interesting landmarks and interactions with its inhabitants. Contrast this with Sunset, where basically none of that is present. Sunset on the onset introduces us to a few frames of Paris and some other faces in the form of the people in the bookshop. But this is basically all just a tease, because after the point at which Celine enters the picture, we're almost never directed towards anything of the sort again. Linklater, with these opening shots, essentially says, hey, this is the city, here are some places, here are some people, hope you got your fill because we ain't focusing on any of this for the next hour and a half. Unlike Sunrise, this isn't a film about the Parisian experience. It's only about Jesse and Celine. Linklater's camera work backs this up with literally almost no cutaways to anything in the city for the rest of the film. Think about that for a second. Paris, the most romantic, the most cinematic city in the world, and Linklater barely emphasizes any of its beauty. And when he does, he juxtaposes it with how disinterested the two characters are with any of it. Like here, where there is this beautiful church and zero acknowledgement from the two characters because they are so blinded by their surreal reunion with each other. And the same thing applies for the people as well. Remember how in Sunrise we encountered so many different personalities that Jesse and Celine interacted with. In Sunset, they ignore almost everyone around them because they're savoring every second that they have with each other. The years of separation have created a deep longing for each other, and no distractions to their reunion are even entertained. They exist in a bubble for the duration of the film, where other people simply don't matter. I'm reminded of that one David Fincher quote where he says, well, I'll let him say it.
The audience knows that you can show them anything. I mean, they know that you've got computers and you can make Tyrannosaurus Rex eat a car. They know you can do anything. So the question is, what don't you do? Not what do you do?
Linklater could have easily called our attention to Paris with cutaways to the Eiffel Tower or interactions with street performers to romanticize the city the same way he did Vienna and Sunrise. But he didn't, because doing so wouldn't have been consistent with the intensely emotional experience of Jesse and Celine. There cannot be any distractions for the audience, because unlike the first film, the characters aren't even remotely interested in anything but each other. Places, ignored. People, ignored. Everything fades into the background, and all that remains from start to finish is nothing but love.
You are gonna miss that plane.
I know.
Thanks for watching this analysis. Let me know in the comments what you think and if there was anything else in the Before trilogy that caught your attention. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, if you did, please be sure to leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please be sure to subscribe for more quick draws in the future. Till then, my friends, au revoir.